Hey, hey, happy day. And the Liberal Prime Mistake of Canada said to the Conservative constituent, he says, how am I supposed to trust you when you keep running away every time I untie you? You got to really drill down into that one because it means something. It truly does. We're going to tie you up, and you know what? We're going to make you happy this week as well. We've been beating you up with a 2x6. We're going to now beat you up just for a couple of days with a 2x4. And most people then stand up and say thanks, right? This whole system in Canada is a mess. And the prime mistake of Canada, the prime minister, if I wanted to be polite, I actually don't, but I will give it a shot. I just can't say it for him. It doesn't apply, right? Who voted for this guy? I mean, he runs a country. The system in Canada is a total disaster. I think it's out of like the 9th century or something. It came over from Britain. It needs to go back to Britain because it's a bad system, and it's time to get Americanized with regard at least to the political system. The Prime Minister won with 25,957 votes. 40% of all the people that voted for him are immigrants, mostly Muslims from other countries, Hindus, people that don't even speak English, but they kind of knew where to put their X, right? 25,000. 8% of those residents were eligible, and or English rather, were English. So 2,076 English-speaking Canadians, all from Quebec, elected the prime minister of a country. Call it 2,000 English-speaking people, all from Quebec. You get that repetition? I mean, how bad is that? What about everybody else? You know what? Canada needs an electoral college, and you also need to, like the Americans, they have it right. Because in Canada, Toronto, the GTA, the 905, which is an area code, and the 416, of course, which is also an area code, they control the entire country. Quebec, too, to a lesser degree, but they control the whole country. And the prime mistake has gone out of his way to populate those areas with people from other countries that are not Canadian, for the most part. Some of them become Canadian with regard to values and so on, but many do not. Those people control the country. And then the prime mistake and all of his little lib people, all his comrades, can't understand why the West is out of joint. Well, they don't have a say, right? No say. The election's already determined before they even close the polls at Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, and so on. And it's not nice. Somebody's got to come in there and shake it up and change the system. You need an electoral college. You can't have a little piece of the country controlling the entire country with regard to how it votes and how it elects prime mistakes and so on, because that is what's happening. It's an unfair system, and recently I attended a leadership party, I guess, or talk with Aaron O'Toole, who was running to be the leadership. And out of all of them, I think he's probably the best. But you know what? He's kind of more of the same as well, because someone in the audience asked him, they said, what would you do as leader and certainly as prime minister with regard to this representation that we don't have in the West? His answer was, I would listen to you. That's nice. That's not enough. You can listen and not hear, right? It's not enough. Somebody needs to say, I am going to change it. I'm going to have an elected Senate, and there'll be 2 from each province or something like that. I don't know the answer, but I certainly do know the question. It's got to be fixed. You got to have better representation. Also in Canada, keeping the other prime mistake came out the other day with this new thought thing going on, and he says you have to have a license to think. Not quite. That's next. What he's now talking about is you need a license to be a media person, and they already own the press, right? They pay $60,000 a year average for everyone who works within the media. I think me, probably Rebel News and a couple of others, aren't on corporate welfare, right? I've never had a government grant in my life. I don't I wouldn't waste my time filling out the forms. I will not let some commie control my brain. It ain't going to happen, or my bank account, ever. And I might be the only one that's never had a company check, or a government check. But in any event, they're controlling it, and then they backed away because there was some pushback, but it's coming back. They'll come back with it because they need to control the media. I mean, our server here for Right Edition is in the United States of America. So good luck with me, you little, boy, words were just starting to form there. Let me end today. My heritage is Norwegian, du snakker ours, and Vikings and stuff. So I wanted to share this with you. Bluetooth. You all have Bluetooth? Many people do. I don't like Bluetooth much. When I get into my car, it changes, so I don't use it anymore, but a lot of people still have it. Bluetooth. Where did it come from? Bluetooth means you're supposed to bring people together, and the Viking king of Denmark, his name was Harald Bluetooth. So the fellow who invented Bluetooth Jim Cardiac, I think his name is, he's the founder. He says, I'm going to bring us all together and name it after a Viking. From your wiser advisor. See ya.